Small wins compounded every single day is literally how the big wins happen. Gold is making some serious crazy highs. If money is going into gold, where is that money coming from? We can also understand from what we call a macroeconomic point of view. Looking to break, moving averages crossed over, 3 macroeconomic point of views all aligned. Literally sell, pattern A, continuation, trade is that simple. People call it success overnight, but I like to think and like to see it as all the small things that when no one else is watching has compounded. And this translates from life, but also into trading. And that being said, in today's video, I will be doing a market analysis, which is what we're going to be doing every single week to show you a little bit of a breakdown of what I'm looking for. Does it play out or does it not play out, which is what we're going to see because we've done one last week. And on top of that as well, some trading updates of, for example, the futures, the CFDs, and how we can maximize and utilize the prop firm space in 2026. Now, that being said, one of the first updates, and this is really cool, is I have got my first payout secured this year. I didn't trade for about 3 weeks in January. I only really traded on the last week. I did take 1 or 2 trades just to kind of keep the accounts active. And what that means is a lot of prop firms actually have this inactivity rule. And you've got to read the FAQs on all of them because some of them are 30 days, some of them are 14. They're quite sneaky with some of them. So you kind of need to keep them alive. So that's what I did. And there are sometimes I took 1 or 2 opportunities here and there, but it didn't really amount to much. It wasn't really too much trading or too much focusing until this past week. So now that I've secured my first payout, I will be focusing more on futures and compounding on that, but I will dive into more detail in this video with you guys today. But first and foremost, let's get to the charts. Right, first things first is I want to talk about the trades that I took throughout the week. This is what we're going to cover over, these 5 little things, is the trades I took throughout the week, the market analysis recap from of last week's market analysis. We're going to be doing this every single week for free on YouTube. Every single Sunday or Monday is when it will be released. And last week, these were the results that I had. So on DXY, if you go back and watch this video, you see me explain why I think DXY is bearish, bullish, Euro USD, gold, and DAX. Now this week, obviously, we've taken some trades. So we're going to go through some of the trade breakdowns. We're also going to go through the market analysis this week, compare the previous week to weeks, and then I'm going to go through some of the success stories, payouts, and also I'm going to track all of our funded traders within our education to share with you their success stories every single week for testimonials, inspiration, and if they can do it, and maybe, and just maybe, you could find one thing that they did and click, it might work for you. So let's go through the week of the trades. Now, the first two things I want to talk about is, if you're new to this, I actually mainly only trade 2 pairs, which is DAX and gold. And last week's analysis and last week's recap, one of the major things I said about DAX is all over the place. And when I say DAX is all over the place is if we go onto the higher time frame charts to start off with and come onto here, if we go onto the 4 hours, just ignore those trade ideas. And we go over onto 1 hour. We go onto these candlesticks here. We can see within this region that on the 16th of Jan, we had a huge gap and a sell-off, which gives it that indecisiveness. It also then has moved very, very aggressively, which is kind of sometimes worrying because that aggressive movement within such a short time frame can either blow your account. Yes, it could make you a lot of money, but you got to remember, if it makes you a lot of money, there's a lot of emotions that come with that. It could be more greed. You think it's very possible. If you're used to, for example, making like $200 and you suddenly make $2,000 or $5,000, it just ruins all of the expectations. So movements like those can really catch you out. Yes, there's the opportunities there, but sometimes, and what I said at the start of this video is small wins compounded over time kind of make more sense in the long run. And that's what I like to look towards my trading. I like to look at things that don't throw me off, and I like to look at the consistency. Yes, of course, now I have developed as a trader, but when I first started off, I said to myself, look, listen, just $5 every single day. And that's always been my motto. Now, going back onto DAX, these are the trades I want to go over first, and I'll go into gold. Even though we had these huge sell-off and we had a huge pullback and then moving averages kind of pulled all the way back as well. So it was kind of just really indecisive. But the way that this pulled out all the way past these moving averages start to indicate to me that there could be more of a sell-off coming. Not only that as well, if we look at all of last year, we've just been on a really, really strong bullish momentum. Buy. Now, I'm not saying that the reversal was due, but at the end of the day, the markets can't always just do one direction. And I've just been in the market long enough to have this experience. So the first thing I was saying to myself is, well, these moving averages has crossed over. We've had gaps up. We've also had Trump and America moving quite wildly recently as well. And also there's a lot of uncertainty in the DXY, but yet gold is making some serious crazy highs. So sometimes you've got to think from a technical point of view and a fundamental point of view. Now, how does a fundamental point of view apply to this? Well, if money is going into gold, where is that money coming from? Is it coming from the indices? Is it coming from the stock markets? Are people taking money out the stock market? Has people made a lot of money through this? Because we're looking at it just from a trading point of view, but we can also understand from what we call a macroeconomic point of view. So a sell-off was some sort of my bias from a macro, and also it was a sell-off from the technical. So I had two things that gave me the ideas of the sell-off. So first and foremost, as we had these sell-offs on Wednesday and we kind of sat consolidating, we started to get really strong pushes and momentums and just literally dropped all the way from 24,878 all the way down to this support zone. Now, how I draw my zones is very incredibly simple. All it is areas that price has reacted to. That is it. There is no magic Aladdin formula to it. All it is price is supported and resistance, and that is how I draw my zones. And to be honest, that's how most people draw their zones as well. All it is practice makes perfect. Now, if we go on to the lower time frames, these are the trades I took. So this is the first trade here on Friday the 30th, and this one I took in the morning. It was just way too clean for me to even decide about anything else. And what we had was we already had the first sell-off from the higher time frame. We had a sell-off idea from macroeconomics, and also earlier in the week I already took sells. So that's three things. But add these three things on top of my confluences for continuation. I entered sell on these positions, and then TP simply for a 1 to 2R. On the other account that I have, and I have multiple rotations of prop firm accounts or personal accounts, one of them was a simple 2R, and then the second one was a 3R, and I took these on multiple accounts. So simply put, looking to break, moving averages crossed over, three macroeconomic point of views all aligned, literally sell, pattern A, continuation, trade is that simple. Moving on, you will see one thing as I do these analysis, my trades will look the same. And that's exactly what trading is about. You should know exactly what you're looking for, the confluences should be looking for, and it's kind of like eating the same food every day. If you eat the same food every day, you'll get the consistency. So if you eat healthy every day, your body will come healthy. It is the result. What you put in every single day of these small little results will yield to a bigger win. Again, that's the highlight of the start of the video, right? So So on the 29th of Jan, I literally had the same trade, literally at the same time around 8 a.m. time. We had this continuation, a sell-off, a pattern A, which is here, slight pullback in the Asian session, moving averages crossed over, the three major confluences, a sell-off, and then the trade hit within an instant. The second trade is we had this continued. I wasn't able to run this trade, but we pulled all the way back down from breaking the support to making it a resistance, then a continuation, then we got our second trade again. And what was great about this was we are just looking for the price to retest the previous low that it made earlier this morning. So it's kind of like it's already bounced down, it's pulled back. I'm just asking for it to bounce and retest the previous low that it had made. It's really that simple. And the cool thing about this is around 4 of my students as well said on WhatsApp that they took this trade and also made the same trade. And some of them got fast on their funding, and some of them just obviously passing this and making these wins on their challenges. So if you are interested in learning from me and joining the WhatsApp group and the 12-month to learn how to beat the mental game of trading as well, which will give you from prop firm courses and contents, trading contents, the support you need from trading coaches who have learned from me directly, and also to trade with me directly, and the WhatsApp group and the personal journal, get in contact with us in the link in the description below to apply, because this year I am on a mission to help 100 traders become funded this year with our program. So see you guys inside. Let's get back to the video. So these are all the DAX trades I took. Now to go on to the next trades that I took is going to be on gold. And what we're going to do is just scroll a little bit further back. And the easy trades on gold that we did take was we did get some sell-offs this week. Now, some of these sells that we had this week were a little bit later on, which was, I was looking for these sell-offs here when the moving averages were crossing over. And also because we hit these 500 marks, it was very, very difficult to continuously get these buys in. Now, buys would have been good, but the momentum was going so fast that we really couldn't really get any entry points. And that's when, you know, the train is just going so fast and you're trying to jump onto it. And one of the analogies I'm scared of is when you grab that, it could rip your arm off. And what I mean by that is what happens if you entered and then it just ripped you completely and ripped your account to shreds. So the only trade that we really took was last week on Friday, where we had a buy, and that was a continuation to retest the high. And then after that, it's just been gapping and pushing all the way onto the upside and hitting a new all-time high of 5,600, nearly just touching it, 5,593. That sounds like a whole tongue twister. So as soon as we hit that, we then had an 8% sell-off. And this is where I'm going to go and do the higher time frame analysis and come onto this is where it ate around $3 trillion worth of orders in the market. And this is what you call liquidity hunting. This is what you call stop loss hunting. This is actually what you call taking all the beginners out, because a lot of people who don't trade come into the market just thinking I can buy, make money on gold. Think about it. If you bought anywhere at 4,000, you would literally be up nearly up to six figures, depending on how much you would have bought. And the craziest part of that, that's where it wants to entice you. That's where people are starting to get out. And this is where the smart money starts to get out, and the banks. Because think about it. Who is still in this price? Who is buying at this price? Who is selling at this price? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves as a professional to see, okay, cool. I don't care where the market is going. I care about protecting my capital and making money. Where is this going? Well, if people are buying at 3K and 4K, are they going to continue to buy at 5K? Well, if they are, they're going to have to wait for confirmations and also wait for the market to slow down. And that's exactly what happened. We actually started the week, literally, if we had to go further back from, if we just go onto the 4-hour chart here, and we go back 1 week, we literally started around 4,900. But within that week, within those 2 weeks, we ended up shooting 500 pips. And then we also dropped 500 pips. But the increase and decrease is not the same. So really and truly, we increased 10%, but we ended up dropping more than 15%. So that kind of gives you an indication of where people are taking you out. You can see the bigger picture. And today's one, and some good lessons that we can focus on, is kind of the macro point of view off of the overall markets. Now, this is also another good time to understand, like, this is why prop firms work. And prop firms are such a great opportunity, because if this was your own personal capital and it blew it, blowing a prop firm account is so much less risk than blowing your own personal account. Let's just say you did have a buy order and then the sell limit hit, took your account out, and you could be down a couple of $1,000 or even $10,000 of your hard-earned money. But when it comes to prop firms, you are literally only buying a $100,000 account. Even if it's a 10% drawdown, which then equates to $10,000 tradable money, it still only costs you $200, $300, $400, $500, depending on the prop firm you are trading with. So if you do want to get your prop firm challenge, a 40% discount with code WChampFX with Hola Prime, and a link in the description below, and you can trade it on your futures, Forex, or crypto, completely up to you. So let's get back to the market analysis. So these are the two overviews that I've had for the week. DAX and gold are the only ones that I've been trading, and also they're the kind of trades that I've been taking, and a little bit of a recap as an overall. So now, that being said, of the trades we went through, the market breakdowns, let's go through a little bit of a quick recap of last week. So what I said was DXY was looking bearish. So we can just simply cross over onto the charts and then go onto DXY. And DXY was beautiful because from last Friday, we ended up continuously pushing all the way down and making new lows. We broke this support. Even though we've only traded around 2 points lower, it did flash out all the way down to 95, starting from around 98 or even 97. So it has ended up bearish, which then goes to show and confirm for us that this was correct. So I'm just going to put this as correct. And what I'm also going to look for now is, if we go into DXY just for the moment, is to come onto the daily chart and see, even though we're trading below this low, Here is a previous support and that we've pulled all the way back down. This momentum still looks very good to continue lower and potentially retest all of these lows down here. Now, this could be a fake out and stop loss hunt and then a continuation and push all the way up to retest the 109. But if we need that, we need price to break up above 100 before we have a bullish bias. But right now, a bearish bias is still there. So what I'm going to write here is bearish bias again. That being said, the complete opposite from this, if that's the bearish, I would expect GBP USD and Euro USD still to be bullish, which is the same here. And what I am doing right now is just doing the counter opposite, right? So GBP USD is trading against the dollar. And there we go. We've had a bullish momentum. If the pound is obviously increasing and the dollar is weakening, that means GBP USD will be rising. It is that simple. And one of the key quick indicators, better than a moving average, better than any indicator or anything you want to find online or secret source, is just look at the dollar. If the dollar is bearish and the sterling is strong, then you just buy GBP USD, you buy cable. It is that simple. Moving forward again, it gives us the indication that, you know, gold should be bullish. Even though I said it was bullish last week, we ended up very much at a similar price, maybe just below. So even though we had a huge bullish movement, we also had a very big bearish flag and a bearish kind of takeout, and obviously a bearish engulfing as well if we looked on the weekly. And on top of that as well, it just shows that gold right now has no clear indication of where it should be going. But from the fundamental side of things, gold should continue to rise unless we get a reversal confirmation. Last but not least is last week we had DAX, which was a sell-off and a noise. And with that sell-off and the noise ended up completing, and then we started to get the sell-offs, and that's exactly where we were able to capitalize. And for me, I was able to secure my first payout, which I'll make a video on soon. So just remember to like, share, and subscribe. That was based off of all of the DAX sell-offs. So that goes on to pretty much the comparisons of what we're looking for this week, comparing this week to next week, so the analysis outlooks. And then what I'm actually going to quickly show you guys is that if you do want to learn, just like Lewis and everyone else who are getting their payouts from multiple prop firms, and also Peter, who only joined within the past 2 months, has secured his payouts and his funding as well with all of the futures and CFD programs, is to apply in the link in the description below to trade with us over the next 12 months. And also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because I am going to be making these market analysis completely for free every single week on YouTube for you guys. So thanks to Hola Prime for sponsoring these series. If you do want to go and copy your challenge with them, link in the description below. Thanks for watching. Champ out. Peace.
Hola Prime. Trade with transparency.